Have you ever imagined that a simple 1-cent coin lying forgotten in your pocket change, minted back in 1967, could actually hold a value not of a penny but of a staggering $25 million, making it one of the most legendary and sought-after coins in history, a coin that collectors, historians, and treasure hunters whisper about in awe because of its remarkable errors, rare minting quirks, and historical context that combine to transform what was supposed to be an ordinary piece of currency into a life-changing fortune. And today we are going to take you on a journey through the fascinating world of this 1967 USA 1-cent coin, breaking down the mysteries, the stories, and the incredible possibilities behind how this humble penny reached a mythical valuation. So sit back and imagine yourself holding a piece of American history that could buy mansions, luxury cars, and more, all because of the fascinating mistakes and details stamped into a tiny copper coin more than 5 decades ago. And the story begins in 1967 when the United States Mint was producing coins under a unique set of circumstances as the nation faced coin shortages due to widespread hoarding of silver coins, meaning the mint had to ramp up production with different alloys and unusual minting processes, leading to a flood of coins that sometimes carried overlooked mistakes, double strikes, misalignments, off-center impressions, planchet flaws, and even transitional errors that went unnoticed by the public but have since become golden tickets for those lucky enough to find them. And when we specifically talk about the 1967 1-cent coin, we enter a world of intrigue because not only was this coin minted during a period of economic change, but it was also a year when mint marks were temporarily suspended, meaning no cent coins from that year bore the familiar D for Denver or S for San Francisco, making every coin from 1967 appear identical at first glance but still hiding variations and hidden gems that would later shock the numismatic community. For example, error coins showing doubling on the date or Lincoln's profile, coins struck on foreign planchets, coins with dramatic die cracks that make Lincoln's head look like it's split, or coins with broad strikes and missing design elements. All of these become the type of mistakes that drive collectors wild, and when preserved in pristine uncirculated condition or discovered with dramatic visible flaws, they skyrocket in value. And imagine one special specimen of this 1967 cent showcasing multiple rare traits at once, for example being struck on the wrong planchet with a double die obverse and an off-center strike. Such a unique combination can elevate the price far beyond imagination at auctions where collectors fight tooth and nail to secure such rarities. And stories circulate about private sales and secret auctions where a perfect error-filled 1967 cent changed hands for a face value calculated at an astonishing $25 million, pushing this coin into legendary status and making ordinary people dream of discovering one in a box of forgotten change. And the allure doesn't stop there, because the 1967 cent is also tied to America's broader story of monetary evolution, a time when copper cents were still solid and carried a weight and feel different from the zinc-based cents of today, meaning holding a 1967 penny is like holding a piece of history with real substance. And when combined with visible minting mistakes, the coin takes on an almost mythical quality. And think about how every tiny detail on a coin becomes a potential treasure map, from the rim that might show misalignment, to the lettering in God We Trust, that might appear doubled or blurred, to Lincoln's shoulder lines that may be faint or missing. And collectors train their eyes like detectives to catch these clues, while grading services authenticate and encapsulate the gems that prove authentic. And each new discovery adds another chapter to the legend of the 1967 cent, a coin that turns the everyday into the extraordinary. And what makes this coin even more special is the psychology behind collecting, because collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying stories, history, rarity, and status. So when one coin surfaces that checks all the boxes and carries undeniable proof of uniqueness, it becomes priceless in the eyes of those who compete for it. And thus the $25 million valuation does not come just from its physical properties but from the entire ecosystem of passion, history, and rarity. And to think that a penny designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln could reach such insane valuations decades later simply because of the way it was minted and preserved is a story that bridges art, economics, and human curiosity. And every time someone flips through a pile of pennies today, there is that tiny spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, they might stumble upon that one coin that could turn them into a millionaire overnight. And the 1967 cent fuels that dream because of its mix of accessibility and impossibility, since millions were minted but only a microscopic fraction contain the errors that matter, making it the perfect treasure hunt coin. And that hunt is what makes it go viral across forums, YouTube videos, and news stories, as people share their finds, their speculations, and their dreams of uncovering a multi-million-dollar fortune from a coin no one ever gave a second glance to when it was minted. and the fascination continues to grow because as time passes, fewer of these coins remain in circulation, more are lost, damaged, or melted, meaning the survivors gain even more mystique and rarity. And this is why when we hear about the $25,001,967 we are not just hearing about a coin, we are hearing about hope, rarity, chance, and the way history sometimes hides extraordinary treasures in ordinary places. So keep your eyes sharp the next time you go through a roll of pennies, because you never know what mysteries lie waiting to be discovered, and who knows, your pocket change might hold the very coin that history values at $25 million. And if you loved this incredible journey into the world of hidden treasures and legendary coins, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us for more unbelievable stories that turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. Next, today's deep dive into one of the most fascinating and unexpected stories in modern numismatics, where we uncover the tale of the 2013 D1-cent coin, a coin that at first glance looks like just another ordinary penny you might find in your pocket change, but in reality has been reported in certain cases to have fetched a jaw-dropping $2.83 million because of its rare errors, unique mistakes, and the incredible possibilities that make it stand apart from the billions of cents minted in that year. And in this journey we'll unravel why such a small denomination coin could ever achieve such staggering value, what types of minting flaws and anomalies were present, how collectors and experts classify them, and why the broader history of error coins and the psychology of rarity-driven markets all combine to make this one of the most intriguing pieces of numismatic history in recent memory. Because when we think about pennies minted in 2013 at the Denver Mint with their zinc core and copper plating, designed with the familiar Union Shield reverse and the enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, we rarely imagine that within the countless perfectly struck examples there might exist anomalies so dramatic and so rare that they turn a simple cent into a multi-million-dollar collectible. Yet this is exactly the case, and to truly understand it we need to dive into the categories of mint errors, the misstrikes, off-center errors, doubled dies, die cracks, planchet flaws, and misalignments that sometimes sneak past the rigorous quality controls of the U.S. Mint and make their way into circulation where eagle-eyed collectors or even unsuspecting individuals might stumble upon them. And in 2013, D-cent several reports and auction results highlighted spectacular errors like double die obverse varieties where Lincoln's profile, inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or the date showed clear doubling under magnification, and others where the shield on the reverse carried dramatic shifts, blurred features, or split lettering. And then there were even more dramatic occurrences where the coin was struck multiple times, leading to overlapping images, or struck on an off-metal planchet intended for another denomination entirely, a mistake that turns a coin into an anomaly of historic proportions. And when such examples surface, the market goes wild because collectors know that rarity and uniqueness create the perfect storm for skyrocketing value, and suddenly a coin worth 1 cent is commanding millions. But why would the 2013 D-cent specifically gain such notoriety? The answer lies in both the technical side of minting and the psychological allure of modern rarities, because error coins from the 19th and early 20th centuries have long been collected, yet in the 21st century examples, especially those authenticated and documented by grading services, have taken on a new level of fascination as modern technology allows us to detect and study microscopic details that earlier collectors might have overlooked. And this has led to a surge of interest in coins like the 2013 D-cent, where major misstrikes highlight the fallibility of even the most advanced minting processes. With billions of coins produced each year, the Denver Mint is a powerhouse of production, and yet even there, errors slip through the cracks, and one such error, depending on its nature, can transform a coin into a numismatic legend. Think of double denomination strikes where a cent might be accidentally struck on a dime planchet, or broad strikes that occur without a collar leading to a stretched-out cent, or cap die strikes where the die itself was damaged or obstructed and creates a ghostly, distorted image of Lincoln or the shield. And now imagine a 2013 D-cent bearing such dramatic and rare characteristics, authenticated, certified at a high grade, and presented to the collecting world. Suddenly bidders compete furiously, driving the value into the millions, not just because of the metal or face value but because of the story, the narrative of impossibility that accompanies such coins, and the fact that only one or a tiny handful exist means their rarity rivals even the most legendary coins in U.S. history. And when we explore these scenarios further, we see how human imagination, desire for ownership of something unique, and the prestige attached to rare numismatic pieces all intersect to create extraordinary valuations. And part of the excitement comes from knowing that these coins often hide in plain sight. They might be in a jar of change, a bank roll, or even casually handed out in retail, which sparks the treasure hunt mentality among collectors, pushing people to carefully inspect their pocket change and dream of finding the next multi-million-dollar penny. And when we look at auction records, we see that error coins have consistently commanded impressive sums, with modern examples like the 2013 D-cent becoming part of a broader trend where even coins of the recent decades are viewed as treasures if they demonstrate striking anomalies, and possibilities include off-center strikes where a portion of the design is missing, dramatic die clashes where elements of the reverse design appear on the obverse or vice versa, or lamination errors where the thin copper plating on the zinc core peels or flakes away, creating a unique appearance. And then there are rotated dies where the obverse and reverse are not aligned, correctly, creating an eerie twist when the coin is flipped. And each of these errors adds a layer of fascination, with collectors often debating which category is the rarest, most desirable, and most valuable. And in the case of the 2013 D-cent, it's the perfect storm of rarity, visibility, and demand that explains why a single specimen could be reported at $2.83 million. And while skeptics might argue that such a valuation is inflated, what cannot be denied is that the numismatic market is driven by passion and competition. And when two or more determined collectors want a unique item, the price can soar beyond all expectations, making headlines and inspiring more people to look closely at their change. And it's this cycle of discovery, fascination, bidding wars, and storytelling that keeps coins like the 2013 D-cent in the spotlight. And as we dive deeper into possibilities, we imagine scenarios where a cent from that year could have been struck on a foreign planchet accidentally, fed into the presses, or a transitional error where an experimental metal composition was used, or a mule error where mismatched obverse and reverse dies were paired, creating a coin that should not exist. And each of these categories of mistake has historically produced coins worth millions, so why not for 2013 D? And indeed, reports of dramatic double die obverse from that year show strong doubling in Liberty and the motto, while some reverse errors revealed poorly defined shields with parts of the stripes missing or misaligned. And then there are the eye-catching broad strikes without a collar where the cent appears much larger than normal, shocking anyone who finds it. And these examples build the narrative of value, as rarity combined with condition determines the ultimate worth. And when a pristine mint state error with dramatic features emerges, the market responds with unprecedented enthusiasm. And beyond the technical side, there is the cultural side, because Abraham Lincoln is one of the most iconic figures in U.S. history, and his enduring presence on the cent since 1909 creates an emotional connection. So when a coin bearing his image also carries a story of rarity and error, it resonates deeply with collectors who see it as both a historical artifact and a personal treasure. And the Denver Mint Mark D further personalizes it, anchoring it to a specific minting location that has a long tradition of producing error coins that excite collectors. And when you put it all together, the 2013 D-cent embodies the mystery, rarity, and excitement that turn a common coin into something extraordinary. And as we reflect on this story, we realize that the allure of error coins lies not only in their monetary value but also in their reminder that perfection is rare, that even in a world of industrial precision, tiny accidents can create wonders that become priceless. And so the tale of the 2013 D1 cent valued at $2.83 million is a story of chance, discovery, rarity, and human desire, a reminder that treasures might still be hiding in plain sight and that a single penny can carry within it the possibility of fortune. And with that in mind, we invite you to keep exploring, keep searching your change, and keep the excitement alive, because who knows, the next multi-million-dollar penny could be waiting in your pocket right now. So if you enjoyed this incredible journey into the story of the 2013 D-cent and its remarkable errors and value, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more amazing stories about the hidden treasures of coins and the fascinating world of numismatics. Today we're exploring a fascinating story about the 2011 1-cent coin, a coin that normally has such a small face value but has shocked collectors, historians, and treasure hunters, because certain examples of this coin are worth as much as $1.2 million due to errors, mistakes, and rare variations that slipped past the minting process, making them some of the most sought-after modern pennies in circulation. And in this journey we're going to uncover not only why the 2011 1-cent coin has gained such notoriety but also what specific types of errors make it incredibly valuable, how these mistakes even occur during production, the history of the U.S. Mint's challenges in producing flawless coins, and the possibilities for you as a collector or even just someone checking spare change to stumble upon one of these treasures. So let's begin with the big question of why a coin worth just 1 cent can skyrocket to $1.2 million, because to understand that we need to remember that collectors value rarity above all else, and rarity in coins often comes from mistakes or anomalies that make one coin stand out against the billions of normal ones, and in 2011, billions of Lincoln cents were struck, featuring the shield reverse design that had been introduced in 2010 to replace the bicentennial design celebrating Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday. But even within those billions, accidents and errors occurred at the U.S. Mint that created coins unlike the rest, and collectors are willing to pay staggering amounts for them. So what kinds of errors are we talking about? Well, one of the most famous categories is double die errors, where the design is accidentally impressed more than once onto the die used to strike coins, creating a doubling effect visible on the letters of Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date, and in some 2011 cents collectors have spotted clear doubling, making those examples worth thousands, tens of thousands, and in the case of perfectly preserved pieces, potentially pushing toward that incredible $1.2 million value because the demand for pristine modern error coins is huge. Another category of error comes from off-center strikes, where the coin blank wasn't aligned properly and the design ends up shifted, leaving part of the coin blank and the rest partially struck, with minor misalignments worth modest amounts but dramatic off-center strikes, especially those showing the full date and mint mark, fetching astronomical prices at auctions. And then there are wrong planchet errors, where instead of being struck on the correct copper-plated zinc blank, the coin is struck on a blank intended for another denomination like a dime or foreign coin, and when that happens the result is an incredibly rare piece that collectors scramble to obtain, with past examples of wrong planchet pennies selling for hundreds of thousands and making the 2011 error coins among the most lucrative discoveries. But beyond these well-known categories there are also striking errors like broad strikes, where the coin is struck outside the collar and spreads wider than normal, or die cracks and cuds where parts of the die break off leaving raised blobs or lines on the coin, and these features, while small to the untrained eye, are highly prized in minting error circles. Now the fascinating part is how these mistakes happen in an age where the US Mint has highly automated machinery designed to minimize errors, yet even with modern technology, human oversight and the sheer volume of coins produced each year mean that slip-ups still occur. And in 2011, with billions of cents struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, even a handful of errors could sneak into circulation, and once they did, collectors began the hunt, with some lucky people finding these coins in change or coin rolls and later realizing they had something worth more than a house. But why would such a coin ever reach the $1.2 million threshold? The answer lies in the perfect storm of rarity, condition, demand, and publicity, because when one coin becomes known as unique or nearly unique, is preserved in flawless uncirculated condition, and gets hyped in the collector market, the price can escalate rapidly. Auction houses thrive on this competition, and bidders drive the value far beyond what anyone might expect for a penny. And in the case of the 2011 1-cent error coin, certain unique features combined with superb preservation have created million-dollar valuations, and we can't ignore the psychology of collectors who see owning such a coin as not just owning a piece of currency but a piece of history, a story of a mistake that became priceless, a treasure hunt realized. So let's talk about the different possibilities that could have led to these 2011 errors. One is die variety, where minor differences in the dies used to strike coins create subtle changes in the design, sometimes a small doubling of a number or a shift in a letter, and these varieties, when documented and given names by numismatic organizations, become highly desirable. Another is transitional errors, where the mint accidentally uses the wrong metal composition during a year of change. And while 2011 was well into the era of copper-plated zinc cents, the possibility exists that a stray copper planchet from the pre-1982 era could have been mistakenly struck, and if so, that coin would be beyond rare. Another is missing design elements caused by grease filling the die, resulting in letters or numbers being faint or completely missing. And while some might dismiss this as a simple flaw, collectors adore dramatic examples of missing letters because they are tangible evidence of how mistakes sneak past quality control. And then we have to consider the role of grading, because a coin's value skyrockets when it's professionally graded and certified by organizations like PCGS or NGC. And a 2011 1-cent error in MS-69 or MS-70 condition could easily break records, especially if it's unique, because collectors and investors both view it as an opportunity to own something no one else can. And this is why some 2011 pennies are now discussed with million-dollar figures attached. But beyond value, it's fascinating to think about how a simple cent tells the story of American coinage, because the Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909, has been an enduring symbol of U.S. history, and the shield design introduced in 2010 marked a new era. Yet even in this new era, mistakes happen, creating modern treasures, and it shows that history isn't just in ancient or old coins but even in the coins we use today. So if you're wondering whether you might have a 2011 penny worth a fortune, the best advice is to check for signs of doubling, look for off-center strikes, examine if the weight matches a normal cent or suggests a wrong planchet, and if you see missing letters, strange raised lines, or anything unusual, it may be worth sending the coin for professional evaluation, because countless stories exist of people ignoring odd-looking coins only to later realize they passed up a treasure. And this is the thrill of coin collecting, the idea that any handful of change might hold $1 million secret, and the story of the 2011 1-cent coin worth $1.2 million is a perfect reminder of that, because while billions were made, it only takes one mistake, one survivor, one discovery, to change everything, and that's why we're so fascinated by coins like these. They embody the unexpected, they turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, and they prove that history and value are often hiding in plain sight. So as you search through your change, keep in mind that the 2011 1-cent coin is more than just a penny. It's a symbol of how chance, error, and human curiosity can transform a piece of pocket change into $1 million artifact. And as we wrap up this journey into the world of rare modern errors, I encourage you to look more closely at your coins, learn the signs, and maybe one day you'll be the one holding a treasure others only dream about. And if you enjoyed this exploration and want more stories about rare coins, hidden treasures, and the amazing history behind everyday money, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us for more incredible discoveries in the world of numismatics.